So Leroy Barber here for Hope Mob and Voices Project. As you know, both of those organizations work together to support leaders of color, and we do that in a number of ways. And one of the ways we do that is highlighting the work of leaders of color who are doing incredible things and who have stories that we think you would just love to hear. And so I've spent the last couple days in the Dominican visiting my friend Rod and Twyla Davis, and I have been thoroughly impressed by being here. And Rod, we're going to run through a couple things here, all right? And I know you don't want to do this interview, but you need to do this interview because people need to know the work that you're doing. So you grew up in Oakland, right?
Yeah.
And as you know, you're representing obviously with this hat. I won't go into how I feel about that, but so grew up in Oakland, had to leave the city for extenuating circumstances, right? That weren't altogether legal, and so you left the city and you went to Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
You went to Portland. In Portland, you came to know the Lord. You met your wife, started a family at church. 2 kids, and all of a sudden, you decide you're going to answer this call to move to the Dominican with your family. Now, a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, your wife, you move into the barrio in the Dominican. Now, bro, first of all, there's probably 400 to 500 total black missionaries right now today. So I doubt there was that many then. But you decide to move into the barrio with your family. What made you do that?
Yeah, so we've been praying, trying to figure out, what was next and how we could serve better. And I came across a verse in Matthew 28:19, it says, "Go to the nations, make disciples." And I remember thinking to myself, well, we can't get out of God's will obeying what His Word says. And so we said, okay, let's start looking around and figure out where we could go. We wanted to go somewhere where we could serve and make a difference. And Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, and on the same island, the Dominican Republic. And we did an exploration trip, went in and felt like, hey, this is a sustainable sacrifice. This is something we could do for a long haul. And yeah, so we've been here 22 years now. 22 years.
Yeah. So you told me a story about your first night. Tell that story.
Yeah. So we bought a tin roof shack in the barrio. We wanted to live with the people, like the people. And that first night, there's a fiesta, a party right next to our house, and for some reason the party got broke up, and we hear gunshots going off and people are scattering, and we're thinking, what have we got ourselves into? We're here. A fight broke out where people were throwing rocks, and big rock bust through our roof. And I was really concerned whether or not we made the right decision in going down. And so it all worked out.
All right, so that was night number 1, right? Yeah. You make this big decision. Night number 1 doesn't go as expected, but you and your wife didn't take that as what the neighborhood and the people were like. You somehow begin to live and work, count on, get to know your neighbors. You didn't know a word of Spanish.
Yeah.
Your neighbors had to teach you Spanish, had to help you take care of your kids as they got sick from moving here.
Yeah.
And out of that, today, 22 years later, you're riding around with me, and the work is just simply amazing. 48 staff, only 2 American, you and one other person.
Yeah.
So most of your staff, overwhelmingly, are local leaders. You run a school with 300, how many kids?
Yeah, 300 plus, yeah.
300 plus kids, more than one school. One school in one neighborhood. Where's that neighborhood?
In Soto and another school in Maria Auxiliadora.
So 2 schools. I walked today through a water filtration project where you are assisting 20,000 people with filtered clean water.
Purified water.
Purified water. You are running a lemon growing or lime growing plantation where you sell lime or lemons back to the market. You create jobs from that, and that's looking to grow. I mean, this goes on and on of the great work that's happening here.
Thank you. Well, I'll tell you, we came down with delusions of grandeur. We came down and we thought we're just going to come down here and turn this world upside down, you know. And we got here, and what wound up happening is we got our butts kicked. You mentioned we didn't speak any Spanish. We didn't have running water in our house. We didn't have power, and we didn't know which way it was up. So instead of us coming down and saving the community had to come save us.
Wow.
And all those ministries that you mentioned, I wish I was a visionary that could say, oh, we envision coming down and doing those things. But all of those were ideas that came right from the heart of the community and being a part of the community. When we talk about water program, my family was sick as well as my neighbors' families. And when we got together and talked about what we could do to make a difference in the community, everybody was saying the same thing. We need water.
See, Rod, that's what's up, right? So you were a neighbor, you were living in the community, your kids got sick, along with the other kids, and y'all decided together, we need a water filtration system.
We need a water filtration system.
And you went about making that happen.
Yeah.
See, that to me represents what being a good neighbor is. That represents letting hope drive you in the midst of what looks like, impossible, places and decisions to be made. Tell me about you said you had an $800 electric bill every year. What'd you do about that?
Yeah. So, we're really grateful to a lot of people for helping us get over that hump. $800 a month bill. Power is very expensive here. Half of it's bootlegged. And so we were able to install an inverter solar system. So it covers all our center properties, 58 panels, and 3 5-kilo inverter systems that actually put our excess power back into the city grid. And so they pay us now. We don't have to pay for power. Yeah.
So you don't have an electric bill, and then the electric company's paying you. I mean, this,
those that say genius is born out of necessity.
Right.
I mean, we were getting hurt. $800 a month. You're going to try to figure out what you can do to make a difference, and our project's paid for in 2 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So you are right now in the middle of a project. Your schools are pre-K to 11th grade right now. You have 300 kids in those schools with a 200 family waiting list.
Yeah.
And right now you're trying to build a high school. Tell us about that high school and what's needed.
Yeah, so we gradually built the school up over the years. And I should mention that when we thought about school, when we talked about school, it wasn't my idea. I didn't think, we need to go to the Dominican Republic, move into the slums and build a school. But we had kids, our neighbors' kids, that weren't going to school. They couldn't afford to go to school. They didn't have a birth certificate or a baptism, and so they were just running around in the day while their parents were off at sweatshops doing their thing. And so we got together and we started thinking about what can we do to make a difference. Again, people in the community said we need to do a school. We need a school for the kids. I thought to myself, that's just going to be impossible. I don't even have a high school diploma. I don't have education. How are we going to make school work, here? But people from the community, students that were actually willing to come into the community and help and serve and volunteer time, helped us put together a school. And so over the years, it's gradually built up to 11th grade. Next year, we start 12th grade, so it'll be K through 12. We have a situation we're in right now where we have to separate the elementary school from the high school, and there's government regulations. And so we're in the process of building a high school, for the youth in our community.
Right.
And yeah, it's exciting.
So you're in phase 1 of that project, and you kicked off a campaign about a week or so ago.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I'm down here is to, see if Hope Mob and the Voices Project can walk alongside. And so, so we kicked that off on Thursday last week, and we're already up to $88,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now that's a lot of work that you've done already.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of generous people. I love, Hope Mob slogan there. Generous strangers, is that what it says? And so it's amazing to see what's going on, and we're excited to see what's going to happen.
Oh, well, brother, you exemplify, you and your wife and your family exemplify what it means to give your lives, and you've given your life. And God has shined and done some incredible things with that. I'm thankful for you. Thankful for all of the leaders that you work with. I met a bunch of them this morning. Met engineers and teachers and sociologists and people working in agriculture. What an incredible team. Thank you for your work. And I think this work that we just described here represents exactly what Hope Mob is about. And if you are looking for ways to represent hope in the world, to come alongside hope in the world, this is one that you should be supporting. Go to hopemob.org and join Hope Mob and support these folks.